thanks for looking at this. These are by no means, it's not intended to be an instructional video, but this is our take on how we built a backyard pool. Yeah, 21 years old, these photos, and I'd say 95% of them have never been published before. There's a kind of a reason for that, partly because back then there was very little. The internet existed in 2002, there's no question, but there was very, very little information out there on how you would do this. We did find some stuff out, and that was really helpful to know. But a lot of it was our own initiative and finding our way how to do it. And it's not a trade secret as such, but I kind of purposely, certainly for the first 5 or 10 years, sat on these images and didn't really publish them. But now the kind of cat's out of the bag. It seems important that we document this and allow people to see, because people just come and see the pool and they've got no idea about how much work went into it. I'm sat here with 2 friends of mine that were heavily involved with this on pretty much a daily basis, and I'd class them both as instrumental in how we were able to do it. And I don't just mean the level of work that they put in, but a lot of thought and deliberation went into some of these things that we did and the ways that we went about them. So I'm sat with John Lee and I'm sat with Tim Stamp, who, when we're going to go through these photos, they're going to you'll hear them chip in occasionally. All right, let's do it. So this is the very start of the process. We have spent some time prepping the area, moving some cabins with a high-ab crane, cutting some trees down. That's just a local guy that was hired in to just do some basic leveling up of the area. And there's my dad. These photos are quite bright, but that wasn't actually the case. It was very dark and rainy for a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think the weather was sometimes it was for us, sometimes it was against us, but you just got to work with what you've got.
Yeah, I think we'd agreed a schedule for when we were going to do this work, and it wasn't really, might not have been pleasant, but it wasn't actually infringing on the job.
No, you just work around it. So again, just scraping off the topsoil mainly, just getting a level playing field for what's to come.
I think that's me.
Playing in the dumper.
Yeah. Not sure. I think they just rented me that without any prior knowledge whether I could actually drive one or not.
Again, it's
chucking it down.
It's chucking it down, but this type of work, to be honest, when you've got engines and you're just driving things around, it's pretty easy compared with again what Fred Dimner called hydraulics, using spades. There's Park in the background, I think, with his waterproofs on.
Yeah, you sort of see on my face as I'm in a pensive mood.
Well, it's begun.
Big job.
I think that's it. Commitment started. Yeah, it's pretty exciting seeing this. It's yeah.
That's a wood chipper that we hired in. I'm taking care of business.
Safety goggles on.
Oh yeah, earmuffs on. They're only about 200 decibels, those things, aren't they?
See, and I think that one I haven't messed about with the brightness too much.
Yeah.
Gives you some idea how dreary it was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to create the the American dream, the American lifestyle. But the reality is we live in Wigan.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at that, we're just a mud bath. It's, but, yeah, and here he is. Here's Joe, our driver. Yeah, great. Hardcore Irishman. Proper grafter. Superb.
Newest stuff.
Newy stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the fact, a perfect partnership. We had a vision of what we wanted it to be and how it needed to be, and he was able to accommodate that and between us find a way. Because what he didn't know about manipulation of earth or laying drains or how to use concrete wasn't worth knowing.
I mean, in fairness to Joe as well, I think, and I might be wrong in saying this, I think he was just really hired in as a digger driver. Now, a lot of digger drivers will just do what you tell them to do.
Yeah, but he was completely hands-on.
Yeah, he completely understood the job and absolutely went above and beyond.
This is chapter looking at the coping construction and placement of that coping. So you can see there the various sections of coping that have been pre-bent by a supplier of ours that used to do all the coping for all the jobs. We just gave him a bunch of diameters, one for the deep end, one for the shallow end, and then we I think we drew them out on pieces of wood and created like the arcs for the hips.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously these diameters are the preset by yourself, Dave. I mean, this is the actual radiuses and diameters of the bow.
Yeah.
This is serious. I mean, obviously the shallow end and deep end, 2 different diameters, and I can see the sections in on one side, it's nearly going in for one of the hips. So again, the hip diameter, super important.
Yeah, and it's sort of like predetermined. Because that wasn't cheap, that coping.
No, this is stainless steel, 2-inch stainless steel tubing. Lasts forever.
So once you commit to those dimensions,
that's it.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's there's something running through all these photographs, and it's fezzes and beards. So that's our mate Pikey.
Dressed up for the occasion.
Yeah.
There then. Right, so yeah, this is me. So it looks like we're on the got the welder out. So this is serious. This is welding up the coping that's going to determine the whole bowl. This is the shape. Everything from now on is determined by the coping. So all the welds have to be level. This has got to be, although it's a big flexible figure of 8, I guess, when it's finished, we had to get it as level as possible to weld it so that we weren't fighting the coping when we put it in position.
Yeah,
so
like it be like twisted, like a propeller.
Like a big spring.
Yeah.
You're going to be fighting it enough. So, again, everything's on blocks, pretty level. You can see it coming into shape now, but well away from the dig site. So this is a nice clean area. Welding it all up. Yeah, from memory, just using stainless steel rods. And there you go. Yeah, looks like I'm putting a hip in there for the joint, but
and committing to where we cut the 2 perfect circles, where you cut them off.
Well,
to make that joint.
Yeah. What there isn't really a book on where to make that cut in the circumference to put the hip in. So a lot of it you have to stand back, take a look, picture it in your mind, cut it, weld it. So you can see even more so taking shape. Pretty magical when you see it just laid out. Looks super cool, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'll just say that sat here with Tim and John, who were instrumental in making this happen, and I don't think they've seen these photos before. You're looking at them for the first time.
I've never seen this. You can see my transit there on the top left of the screen. I was living in that on site.
I mean, that shallow end coping, It looks big, a lot bigger than I imagined it would.
I don't think it's.
Is it just the camera
I
angle?
have a feeling, Tim, that might not be the finish. We might have just pulled it in a little bit.
Right,
That I
I
think
see.
that's a
Yeah.
little bit.
You think it looks
A little bit too big diameter,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
like a true? That looks like a true
Almost.
figure of 8, whereas the
Yeah.
pool is it's more guitar shaped, I think.
Yeah, looks
Yeah.
like we've got a
So the
spirit.
shallow end is tighter than the
Yeah.
deep end.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, not much we can do here really. Everyone's just kind of waiting, I think, for me to get the coping in, because again, everything is predetermined by the coping from this point. So we're just going to use it as a big magic marker on the ground, and that's going to be the pool. It's one of the hip welds.
That's Adam, who was really helpful with the architectural side of things.
Yeah, he's obviously doing a little bit of checking levels. I think he's setting up the level though for when we put the coping in place.
Well, that photo's took out of my back kitchen door. You can see the UPVC.
Yes.
So he's sort of on them flags.
Yeah, I think he's just setting up a reference. All this was based on levels.
Are you sure he's not just looking at the top of that skip over there?
He could be looking into a window over there. I don't know where he's looking.
Ornithologist.
So now it's looking like we've got the coping. I don't know why we haven't welded up the hips there, but obviously it's a bit of a trial fit. I think this, just making sure it's actually going to fit.
Yeah, and also deciding how much land it's going to take up.
Yeah, actually looking at it in real time.
You know, standing back and looking how close to the house it is.
Mm.
Things to consider are like the windows of the house for
boards
doing zoomers and smashing me windows.
Yeah.
Also taking into account that I don't really want to encroach any further down the land than I really have to.
Because ultimately you have to fence it off.
Yeah. So the bigger the plot, the more expense.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, with the bowl size, there was some unfinished business from Stockport really, because we got backed into a corner when we built Stockport.
Yeah.
We had to finish the rest of the skate park before we could start doing the wooden bowl there. And when it came down to it, we didn't quite have enough room really, and there was some compromises. And we made damn sure. I mean, I just love that shape anyway.
It's a classic shape.
It's a classic shape. It doesn't favour goofy footers or regular footers. But part of it was I just wanted to make things right from my own personal point, that it had the right amount of flat bottom.
Maybe a little more flat bottom.
And the shallow end was that little bit deeper, because we were limited.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
It was pretty tight. It was pretty tight, the shallow end at Stockport.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, probably just moving it around a little bit, kicking it around, just making it fit. So that picture, it looks like we've, I'd say we've probably determined the position there, yeah? I think that's pretty much where it ended up. I think the hips still aren't welded, but no then.
There's the girl.
There she is.
He.
There he is.
Yo-Yo was a boy.
Never.
I always get that bit wrong. Sorry, Yo-Yo. Never mind in this
So
non-gender specific time we live in.
We're talking about the cat. That's Yo-Yo there.
Years ahead of our time.
Yeah, and we're just also looking at a trek for where the drain is going to eventually be. Just figuring that out.
Yeah, it's no good digging a big hole and letting it fill up with water, because where's that going to go?
You know, actually talking about the drain, we were very lucky from a water table point of view, because if you look closely on that, where that dumper is and where those bushes are to the left, that land drops away steeply. It's probably 15-foot drop to water.
So we're almost on a high point here.
It really helped that when we dug.
Is this Tim in shot of you?
Yeah, is that the first time we've seen him?
I didn't recognise myself.
Yeah, it looks like it. Same kind of haircut. So now,
There's Joe.
yeah. So there's Joe over there. Obviously, we're just nudging things around. Looks like these are all this is the manhole, isn't it? These are all the sections for the manhole. We needed access for the drains, so on one side. So these are the manhole sections.
That's just a shot of. I think we're getting ready.
Again, got the level in. So level's super important all the time. Checking levels constantly. So where we at here?
So this is fairly boring part of the job. Certainly from my perspective, I'm just waiting to start making shapes. But in order for this thing to work, you've got to consider the drainage.
Yeah, and again, Joe super cool with this. You know, he's put in loads and loads of drains. Knows how close you can dig a drain, for instance, to a house. So yeah, it's just one of those jobs you've just got to think of first. You can't go on and build anything like this without considering the drains first thing.
I mean, the thing is with it is that it's just like a giant funnel.
Oh, the catchment area is huge.
The catch of water, how quickly, it's just a torrent.
Yeah, it'll just fill. Yeah. So again, looks like we've got a few bit of paint on the ground. Looks like we're going to start digging. So there it goes. I think that must be the first manhole section going in. We had a bit of fun carrying these. They're
a bit fragile.
It was a bit fragile and a bit heavy as well. Obviously the ground a little bit unstable around it, so you've got to be careful. But yeah.
Did I ever give you that chain back? Did you ever get it back?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, recently.
I've not used it since though. Yeah. Here we go. It's just a case of just getting them in really before the ground collapses in around it. Fortunately, it looks like the weather was good too. That's a funny angle, but this is Joe. I think he's connecting up the.
He's pointing
around the. Yeah, he's.
I remember him saying about that. Put that board up to protect him. He could see that there's a potential for the ground to subside and bury him.
I'm sure there might be safer ways of doing this, but at the time it seemed the way to do it.
So what you can see has happened there is we've laid that solid piece of coping down and essentially just got a can of fluorescent spray paint.
Yeah,
just sprayed the shape of it on the floor. We've then knocked some metal pins in and bent a bit of rebar around to create
like a dummy, really.
Well, just a guideline for him to dig to. Yeah. I think that's pretty much that's the first.
This is the start. This is breaking ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, starting to take shape. I mean, this is where the skill of the driver comes in, because you're digging a hole, imagining how deep it's going to end up, the radius. You don't want to dig out too much. Just such a difficult job for a driver to say dig that hole. So I think
that's the shallow end.
That
yeah, that is the shallow end. Yeah. So I mean, we were with the driver, sort of helping him to gauge levels and things, but very much a lot of guesswork at this point. Like I said, a lot of skill with the driver.
He was the technician, wasn't he?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
You can see on our faces that we're all in the moment. John with the floppy hat on there. You're just like, you're intensely watching what he's doing.
Yeah, well, it's everything is. You might just think, well, you can dig a bit or put a bit back in or whatever, but it's more important than that. You don't want to be wasting time. If you dig too much out, you'll be putting too much concrete back in.
Yeah. I don't remember him ever putting any back in.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Now you brought that up.
Yeah. It's so again, the ground wasn't too bad. Maybe a little bit soft because I think it had been filled at some point.
It's all fill.
Yeah.
All that was came out of Crompton's metal works at Hinge factory up the road. Over back in the 50s, it was just filled with like the slurry, ash and slurry, lots and lots of iron ore in
yeah,
there.
Yeah, we didn't find anything too untoward, I don't think.
No.
But so yeah, it's kind of getting to a bit of a flat bottom level now, I guess. I think it looks like we've dropped a flag in there.
That is as a reference for how deep.
Yeah,
that's
so
deep enough.
we must have taken a level somewhere and dropped that flag in to give the driver an indication of depth. Looks like,
I like that photo.
Yeah, I mean, what me and Tim are doing there? What are you doing there, Tim?
That's a good question. Talking to Joe by the looks of it, I'm not sure what I'm saying.
It's like Magneto.
We're just trying to.
Trying
to guide him.
We're feeling our way.
Yeah,
I
guess.
You know.
I guess the driver was so good. You know, he was doing what we was trying to say. Right then, looks like we've got a bit of a template here.
Yeah, so that's like the tranny that we're going to work to, with a small spirit level sat on there, so we know, what's plumb basically.
Yeah, but you can see like between like me and Tim there, you can see how the ground, we've hand shaped it, and it's coming to. It's looking like a transition.
I think the aim was to get it as good as possible as a piece of dirt before we did anything.
Yeah.
Don't leave anything to chance. It could be all right. We'll fix it later.
Yeah, no.
I think if you'd had a bike with big enough tires, you could have rode it as a dirt hole.
Yeah, yeah. If you can get it to that standard, you know that when it's finished, it'll be good. Now then, bit of concrete.
Yeah, we're gonna be. This is.
We're still in the shallow end, yeah.
What?
Yeah, this is the shallow end. What's happening here is we've had a delivery of very dry mix concrete. So it's a process called blinding, because you can only pile dirt up so high to a certain angle and expect it to stay there. So you have to sort of
like a reinforcement.
It's like a crust.
Yeah, and weatherproofing as well, I guess, because obviously bad weather will wash it.
So what you can see there is a very dry mix of concrete coming out the back of that mixer into the digger's bucket, and then Joe's going to splat that around, I reckon.
Yeah, so here we go. Now this is pretty heavy work. Anyone that's ever dug that kind of stuff around, you want to handball it as little as possible, really. So Joe's placed it with the digger. You can see kind of all the way around. He's done a lot of placement, and now we're just kind of scratching it in, stamping it down.
See, there's my dad.
I've got Pike in here. Again, if you look at everyone's faces, it's
we're in the moment.
We're in the moment. Yeah, I don't see a lot of smiles at this point, but we're all focusing on the finished product, really, and just getting it as good as we can. Just to make it as good as we can.
So that's the shallow end.
That's decent.
Blinded. We did it in rather than trying to dig two holes, we did it in two sections.
Yes, yeah, we did. So now the digger will not go on that. That's it. That's effectively that's finished up to concreting, isn't it? Really? Yeah. That looks good. So it looks like deep end.
Yeah. So pretty much a repeat of that process. That's an awful lot of dirt that came out of that hole. It was just spread back. I don't know where he put it in the meantime. What's going on out the back of that dump?
It might have just started, because that is a serious amount of smoke coming out of that. Yeah, Joe was probably shouting saying, "Get it over here."
Yeah.
Because once Joe got going, he just didn't stop.
Rev it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great shot.
Yeah. So it looks like we constantly had to paint the line back in because it was getting run over. So it looks like we put the line back in. Hey, who's this driving?
That's my nephew Jacob, aged about 7, maybe. This is 2002. I think he was born. He might be a little bit older. Not much older.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my niece Shay on the digger. I see Pikey on the dumper truck in the background. I don't know I'm doing there.
I think you're just damping it down. I think just to, I think it was probably still pretty dry. It looks like the weather, looking at it, it's been really nice. And,
you probably don't want it to dry out too quickly, do you?
No, yeah, I think just getting a bit of water on it just so it goes off, really. Again, always on the level. It can soon drift off. So, yeah.
That's shay.
Still a lot of muck to come out of that.
Makes me think, you know, for a 5 and 7 year old or whatever age they were, what a weird and wonderful thing to be around.
To be involved in.
Yeah, and to watch happen, and just those kids just took it in their stride like it was like, oh, that's what people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, yeah. Still digging out. So this is the point where we broke through. You know, we had to break through the wall of the pool now to get the drain into the deep end. So it was just a case of dig through and then make good afterwards, really. So again, yeah, that's broken through, isn't it?
Yeah. Now that's starting to look like, you know, there's a saying, you know, you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. And all those shots up until that one looked like it was, you know, had definitive shape. That looks a bit like a bomb's dropped.
I think at this point it felt like we were going backwards a little bit with the shapes, but
what's going on with those cornerstones? Those like flagstone things all the way. Is that just to give us a rough idea?
Yeah,
of level.
I think they're roughly level, and I think I think we kind of lost the will of keep knocking those metal pins in to hold the.
Kept running them over.
Yeah.
Do you think that's more of a
support?
Yeah.
Well, just an eye guide or something to look at.
I think we just keep trying to put the rebar back in, and because again it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So still obviously broken through with the drain.
Now, what's happening here is we're now looking at putting the gallows in that are going to suspend the coping. Again, super crucial to the whole job, really.
Yeah, this was something I think that we've done some research on, and it was how you actually hold the coping in place effectively in fresh air.
Yeah. We're actually slightly out of sync though. We're on to blinding.
Yeah, so we know. Yeah,
end,
so I think we were just testing before, but yeah, this is a copy of a mirror image of what we're doing in the shallow end.
But with a different, you know, we've made another former there, same idea, but because it's 2 different radiuses. The shallow end was approximately 6 foot radius, with the deep end being more like 7.5 foot radius.
Yeah. Everything's done with so you can see the wall there, can't you? How much deeper it is.
And you can see those posts that are going to support the gallows have already started to go in. They're all concreted in.
Yeah, I think we'll come to that in a minute, won't we? But this, I see that this is 21 years ago, isn't it? And I look at these pictures and go, what are we doing? So it looks like we've made good now. I think we must have. I guess the pipe must be in now, there, isn't it?
The drain
pipe.
Well, it must be because he's got the diggers sat on top of where it goes.
It's obviously filled back up again and made good. I think the drain's buried in the bottom there, really, to uncover at some point.
So we're starting to look at the waterfall there, the drop from the shallow end to the deep end.
Yeah.
And as much as we had plans for how we were going to do the deep end and the shallow end, the uniformity of it, the hips were a little bit of going into no man's land, really, as to how they would look. You kind of had an image in your head what they might look like, but how you created that, was
Well, it was like this. It was
Yeah.
it was looking at it, getting a spade, and actually, if you can see what Dave's doing, he's just shaving off the rolling into the deep end. Again, got a whacker up there, so we're just scraping some out, whackering it, getting the shape as near as possible.
Not quite sure what I'm doing there. I've got a string from a centre point.
I think you think you're going around with it like a big circumference, like a big compass.
Right, just making sure that it's
we're somewhere near. Yeah. Everything was done off reference points like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think where that centre pin is in the shallow end, you can see where the with the circle around it. The circle's the flat bottom, I guess. Isn't it? But everything's done. Yeah, that centre point's pretty important. So again, that's super cool. Got the flat bottom drawn in there.
That's just like, again, that idea of getting it as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
Don't leave anything to chance. If almost treat every aspect, every stage as
dragging that bucket up from the bottom.
Up
to the top.
But he could do that. The driver was so good. He's actually put a transition in. I have a feeling there the ground wasn't very good. It's quite loose, and I think we're putting quite a bit of concrete in there to make it good. God. Heavy work.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
These early-ish stages.
Yeah.
Again, that was a photo that was almost black. I've had to really brighten it up. It's absolutely chucking it down there.
Yeah, I remember a lot of the work was done in pretty wet. We haven't seen the coping for a long time.
No, we haven't.
Well, it's been put to one side now, hasn't it? It was. It comes back. So all the gallows are going. Well, all the posts for the gallows are now going in. Yeah, just protecting the fresh concrete there. So it's nearly all blinded.
Yeah, and we've also nearly put all the supports, those 2x4 timbers are all almost in all the way around.
Whoa.
There you go.
Yeah, losing the sanity.
Yeah, so here we are. Looks like a nice morning. Everything is blinded. And we got the basic shape. And
are you welding there, John?
Yeah, I think what we did, we kept the coping in two halves. It was so big and so heavy
to move it.
Yeah, from memory, I thought we had it in one section, but looking at it, I don't think we did. We kept it in two halves, shallow end and deep end, so we could actually physically move it because it was a big thing to move. So I think now, it looks like I've got a bit of an edge there. So I think I'm connecting up the two halves, and then we can start actually hanging it in place. But yeah, the weather looks good. It's
how good were those hangers though?
Well, again, that was something you got that from a book or a magazine or something, Dave, didn't you? Something.
You just got to remember, 21 years ago, the internet was up and running, but there was not a lot of info out there. And I did find one guy who sold me like a loose plan of how to do it. We didn't follow it exactly, but there was some concepts and some ideas in there that we did take on board.
Yeah.
And one of them was
the gallows.
The gallows and hanging the coping.
Yeah, I mean, it was a genius idea, really, although it looks like a lot of work for nothing because you take them all out and throw them away when it's finished. But the only way to do this is to get the coping hanging in space, level, and in the position over the ball where you want it. So every point, all these hanging points that you'll see on the coping are threaded bar.
So you can see there. That's how good the blinding is. That's done with a digger and a spade.
Yeah.
If you look at the shadow underneath the former.
Yeah, that's good. And that's giving us the thickness of the finished concrete. That's gonna
That
be
block is
sprayed
sat
out.
on a block. That's how much because that had to be accounted for.
Yeah, that rebar spacing and stuff.
You don't want to be spraying more concrete than
No.
you need because that's expensive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want it being any less than
You don't want it
on or around 100 millimeters.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want it
4
cracking.
inch.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see the threaded bars welded onto the coping. So we can adjust the coping up and down. That took a long time because there's a lot of contact points.
But again, crucial to getting the coping level.
Yeah,
You know, with it used in conjunction with the theodolite on top of the coping.
yeah.
You were able to get it.
Oh,
Absolutely
it
spot
was
on.
well, yeah. It was. It proved itself to be very level. So obviously this is one of the hips. Floors. You can see the floor. It's perfect. So this is actually connecting the two halves together. Kind of tricky welding in space, but hey, all the welds were ground up, cleaned up. Now then.
That's it.
So that's a picture.
So there's your coping, dead level, virtually hanging in space. And that's, from now on, that's your reference
Yeah, that's everything.
for everything.
So that's a funky ladder, that, Dave.
Yeah. Did you make that one?
We made them, yeah. We made the ladders. That is a section of PVC pipe that's going to form the wall of the drain in the bottom.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't buy that anywhere, and I ended up
Ah.
stealing it.
Yeah.
I went in. I had two vans, one that was lettered up with Uniform Skate Parks, and one that was just a white van. I put a high vis jacket on a Sunday morning.
Hard hat.
I didn't put a hard hat on, and I went to Langate where they were working using this stuff, and just in plain sight, just
Hacksawed some off.
took a piece off. Yeah.
I'm
They-
sure
they
it
won't
was
miss
surplus
it.
to requirement. But yeah,
All for a good cause.
that does look good, that, doesn't it? The work to get that shot.
The next part of the job is to install the rebar. The rebar is the foundation or the reinforcement within the concrete so that the concrete doesn't split over time. And John was forward thinking enough to realise that if we could bend the coping to,
The rebar.
bend the rebar to the shape that we needed, we'd be in a very strong position. And somehow, don't ask me how, but he made this magic box.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of looked at the job when Dave initially sort of brought it to me, and we're looking at how it was going to be done. I realised very quickly that the overall finished shape of the pool is going to be dependent on the rebar, because that's almost like the skeleton of the pool, and it was going to be used as a reference for when the surface was put over the top of it. So if you had rebar that was full of kinks and bends, and it just wouldn't give a final finished product, really. Not because I knew the standard that Dave wanted it to. So this machine that you see here with the van sticker on, I kind of came up with this idea. It's basically a rolling machine. It's got 3 rollers in it, adjustable, electric motor, and you put rebar in, and by adjusting the distance between the rollers, push a button and out comes a bent piece of rebar.
How on earth did you calibrate it though? You didn't
to the
just go
correct.
6 foot radius, please.
Well, it was a bit of guessing. I kind of understood how to roll steel, so there was a bit of guesswork. It seems like a lot of work, this one machine, just to do this job, but it was when you turn it on, it was priceless. But one thing with it was, I seem to remember we'd never actually run any wire through it until we got to the job, and we set it up, put a piece of wire through it. I seem to remember it came out like a spring. It came out like a corkscrew. Yeah. It was, so it could roll any diameter you wanted.
Because not only did you're looking at that photo, that's like obviously a piece of the transition, but it also did the horizontal loops that were going to be needed.
Well,
as well.
how many you know, how many radiuses
It's a hell of a lot.
how many
Hell of
in
a
that
lot.
shape?
Yeah.
You know,
Going down.
in every way. If you
Yeah.
think about it, you've got the horizontals, you know, you've got the verticals, you've got the hips. You must have
Flat bottoms.
10 more radiuses.
Yeah, different radiuses.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot more than 10.
So there's the first batch of, there'll be 7.5 foot radius going in.
Yeah. But there will be rows of 7.5.
Yeah, vertical.
Yeah. So it looks like we've got some little stands there just to keep them off the concrete.
Were they attached to the coping at the top or not?
I think they're welded onto him, yeah.
Right.
So all the verticals, when they went in, they were tacked on the back of the coping. So it looks like we're wiring
it together.
We're wiring it now. So this is twisted wire to hold it to itself. Coming on now. It started taking shape now. You can actually see the curves. So I think we've reached the point in the job everyone knows what they're doing. So I'm pretty sure there's guys in the background now on the machine. We're calling out what we need, and they're rolling them and cutting them for us.
Yeah, that's Whitey on the right, Tim with his back to us, and that's my dad on the left.
Yeah. Trevor, he got into it, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, it's funny. Obviously, he's in nearly every shot, so he's obviously involved with it.
Yeah. And those little, I don't know what you call them, little like supports, little
stands,
feet.
Yeah.
That's they're set to 2 inches, so that's 2 inches of concrete, sprayed concrete, underneath the reverb, and then we were going rebar. Did I say rebar?
Rebar, but yeah.
Rebar, and then over the top another 2 inches, giving us approximately 4 inches of cover.
But again, this is why it was so important to try and get the rebar accurate, so that when they sprayed it, again, that's another judgment call with when you're spraying. You can use it as a reference for the thickness of the concrete on top of it. It's looking good now. We've got everything. If you look at all the lines that have always been painted in, because you can lose reference.
Yeah, it's got a very sort of spider web feel to it, or a giant chip pan.
Yeah,
the sieve thing.
Yeah, big colander.
Basket.
Yeah, it's.
But
it's almost like a globe, though, isn't it?
It is,
with the lines on.
But looking at that now, we're not even close, and you already know it's going to be right.
It's going to work. Yeah. We all knew it was going to work.
So this is coming in from the shallow end to the deep end, where a blending of 2 different transitions, and it's going over the waterfalls as well. So it's all a bit freeform, really.
Yeah, I think this was one of the most complex shapes and areas of the whole build. Trying to get that shape around the hips, yes. and not only that, you've got 2 sides. Each side has to match. You don't want one tighter than the other.
A lot going on.
Very tech.
So what we're looking at here as well is we've had the concrete delivered. That's not cheap, that stuff. That is, it's not just the stuff you buy at B&Q. It's like special shotcrete, I think.
Yeah, it was shotcrete, yeah.
It's designed
stuff.
But I think I've added up. I'm not sure how many's on each pallet, but looking at that, there's 8 pallets there, and there's another 8 pallets where John's van is. But where those pallets are on the left, there's another row behind them. So you're not looking at 8, you're looking at 16 pallets, and I think it's something like 40 or so bags per pallet. So you're looking at 16 plus 24 pallets.
Yeah,
I think it was something like upwards of 900 bags of cement.
And
concrete.
And these were hand loaded into the machine. So again, Dave, obviously, and Tim as well, their background very much into woodworking. So the idea was make some wooden flat bottoms at the finished. I'm pretty sure that's finished level.
That's finished
now.
height, yeah.
So that's perfect circumferences, perfect level wooden flat bottoms
Because again, that's another reference point for when the concrete's going on.
Yeah, super important to keep everything level, everything perfect.
The other thing we've done is we've put like a barge board below the coping, because otherwise you'd be spraying concrete from the inside of the bowl, and it would just be going everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's to allow it to have something to form against.
Yes. Yeah, that was tricky. Yeah. Again, it looks. Who's that there?
That's you.
No, is that Ches?
It's Gary.
Oh, all right, yeah.
My
Of
brother-in-law.
course it is. Yeah, of course it is.
It's
Yeah.
Gary, my dad, Pike in the background working on one of them.
Working on the ladder.
One of them ladders.
Yeah.
Tim scratching his ear.
God, there's lots of. It's the kind of job you had to keep looking at.
Can I quote you on that?
Yeah.
I had to keep stopping and thinking.
Well, yeah, you can get a bit carried away.
But again,
We're
looking
getting
at
down
that,
to details now, aren't we? You know, the prep before the spray.
Well, we know what's coming
Pumps
now.
in.
Yeah, yeah.
but it looks almost clinical to me now. It looks like we know what we're doing. I don't mean that in a self-deprecating way. It really looks like we know what we're doing.
Well, I think, to be honest, we've been on the job for long enough now to, although we were learning on the job as well a lot, I think we reached an understanding of what it required, and I think we're
pretty confident.
Well, I think we're pretty gelled as a team as well.
Yeah, so you can see that the end that I'm working on the flat bottom is 2 inches above the rebar, and the end that Tim is holding is pretty much 2 inches all the way.
Do you know how close that was? You know, if you drew that round, do you know how close to centre we were with the coping? I bet we were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I bet that, and again, that's down to the coping. You know, and using that middle point that's just near Dave's foot there. Again, that's the compass point. So everything is based around that.
Whoa,
Wow.
look at that.
Yeah, that looks super cool.
That's sweet, isn't
it? Yeah.
I'm not sure what this piece of wood is here. That is that looks like it's the radius of the outer side.
Yeah, it does.
Flat.
I don't know what we've done that for.
Flat form.
Was it
Oh, I know what it was for.
to kneel on?
No, it was for when they sprayed upwards.
Oh, to hold
It
it
was
back.
like
Yeah, like a guard.
and we moved that around.
Yeah,
It
as they spray.
wasn't. We didn't do that all the way around. Otherwise, you'd be spraying. It would just be going up in the air.
Yeah. But again, you know, we're just prepping now because we know what's going to happen. You know, it's as soon as the men come in on the spraying, it's got to be perfect. We couldn't stop.
We've given them the best possible chance.
Yeah,
the last one.
Yeah.
So I mean, just a point there. It's this was very much a DIY effort, and we called in help with Joe, and we called in help with a guy with a digger to just level it. But we really wanted to do everything else ourselves, and we were going to tackle. We intended to spray ourselves. All the stuff was available to hire. But we thought better of it, because the thing for me wasn't that we didn't really know what we were doing, which we didn't, but I was willing to take that risk. It was more to do with the equipment, and you had to, with concrete, it goes off really quickly. And if this stuff went off in the machinery and went hard, I was liable for huge, what's the word?
I don't know.
Huge
compensation.
Yeah, compensation going their way if we ruined the equipment. So that was a deciding factor. Luckily, we were able to find a team of guys locally who were, I don't know whether they're sympathetic to what we were doing. They were definitely happy to help.
Yeah.
And it was affordable, and I'm really glad that we did that.
Yeah, it was a good call.
So we're getting ready to concrete spray here, and that is what you're looking at there is the generator that was needed to power the machinery to run the concrete spraying equipment. Some piece of kit that.
That's the generator. Yeah.
That's
Still,
that's John and
we're still fabricating.
Pike, I think.
Are we making?
no. I'll tell you what we're doing there.
Making
We're making farmers that are they're like concrete farmers, and we're putting like a piece of plumbing tubing on the edge, so that when it runs around,
Yeah.
It's a guide.
Yeah.
so when it's rounded on the bottom and it doesn't dig into the concrete.
Yeah.
You can just about see like a blue.
Yes. Yeah.
If you look, I think that's pipe. That looks like an early morning shot.
Yeah.
John's probably just got out of bed there.
Sun's still shining. We've been. I think we're very lucky. In fact, if anything, it was up. I think it came a bit too good, didn't it? The weather.
Well, I think we might have missed a couple of pictures here. I think what's happened here is though the guys came, and in places where we put the wiring in, we put the rebar in. It was a little bit deep
I
underneath.
think it was a little bit thick. The concrete would have been too thick. Yeah. So they. So I think what they did, they had a look at the job, and they did that evening. I think they blew in just a bit of fill. I think in the back.
Yeah, behind.
Right.
If you look
Yeah.
closely, you
Yeah.
can see that they've sprayed a bit because it's
Yeah.
all, the surplus.
Just to kind of level the deep.
Well, just
out.
to
bulk it, I think.
bulk it up.
Yeah.
Again, that's before they've started. Really, that's they've just had a little bit of a blow in.
Yeah, they're ready to go. You can see the pipes in there.
That is your
and,
classic shot, isn't it, of an old 70s skate park being
Yeah.
built that you'd see in a magazine
Yeah.
occasionally.
Yeah, but the concrete day is the big day. It's no question.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah. Looks like we've got some sheets up there and possibly ready for any weather. Just everything set up in place. Ladders are in.
So yeah, that was that. You can see how that's going to work. So that's pivoting like a compass. Glad I paid attention at school in geometry. That's something for me that's really paid off. Those principles. If people think, what's the point of learning geometry at school? You're never going to need that. But then here we are, doing it for real on giant, on a giant scale. You can see that would pivot from the center point, and pivot around the coping, and they've got the blue bit of plumbing tubing, just so that it's got a rolled edge, and won't dig into the concrete.
Yeah. So here we go. We're off. This was, although it looks, the skill involved in spraying concrete is. I know Sean just sort of mentioned it to like kind of plastering, but yeah, what a heavy, skillful job that is. Kind of messy too, eh?
Yeah, you've got the sheets up on the fencing in the background.
Yeah.
So your house doesn't get rendered.
Yeah,
Your windows
we
don't
moved
get
everything out of the way.
and we moved that around as he went.
Yeah.
So he's filling into the back.
Yeah.
The first 2 inches of concrete there.
Yeah. So I think he's just trying to blast in behind and bring it up to rebar level. Yeah, what you don't see in the background is the bagging operation.
The hopper that's because it's been not hand mixed, but it's got to be, those bags have been tipped into a hopper.
Tipped in a hopper.
And then I think it got blown by air and it got mixed in the pipe.
I think I might be wrong, but I think it's dry up until the point of the operator, and there's 2 pipes. There's a water pipe and there's
the dry pipe.
The dry pipe, yeah.
And he mixes it.
And he mixes it on while where
as it's coming out.
Yeah, I mean you can see there it's up to coping thickness at the top. There we go. This was a heavy job, even with a fez.
So I think that hopper had like a big spike on the top, and you
punctured it.
You broke the bag on the spike and then lifted it off.
That is a heavy job. I wouldn't be having a beard on for that job.
Doubles as a mask. That
yeah, I think maybe he did. Maybe that was the plan. I don't know. Maybe this was brew time. So yeah, wow.
So there you can see how that works. Pivoting off that center point and getting it pretty damn accurate.
Yeah. I have a feeling in a way the concrete sprayers didn't possibly realise
the accuracy
required and the reasons for that, because they weren't skateboarders and they didn't realise that they thought they were just creating a shape and we were creating a specific shape. So,
but we're interested in how much pop the coping has, and and all that, which seemed like we were being arsey to them.
Well, I think it was Dave's job, and it was up to Dave to tell them how he wanted it, no matter if they liked it or not. But I do think they got it eventually. But it did require keep an eye on the job. Don't even know what's going on there. Right then.
So this was something that I was slightly disappointed in that I'd requested that it was a steel float finish, and we actually created 2 steel floats, well, a couple of steel floats for each radius, one for the deep end radius at 7.5 foot and one at 6 foot. And they tried to use them. They went, nah, we can't use them. What we'll do is we'll give it a sponge finish. It'll be fine. Don't you worry. Anyway, it wasn't fine, was it? But that's another story. You see, they're using floats there on the flat bits. They're all right with that.
Yeah, I think they did steel float a bit, but again, it was so many curves and very difficult working conditions, because often they were working, you can see the ladders in the background, you're working in a very uncomfortable position.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the tarp there, Dave?
It was just super hot, wasn't it? It wasn't a rain issue.
I don't think
it was a heat issue.
Yeah.
The concrete was drying out too quickly, and we had to quickly form some sort of canopy over the top to keep the heat off.
I think that was a concern, wasn't it?
So when I look at this photo, I can see in my eyes that I'm slightly concerned. It's not been on very long, that concrete. It's probably next day, still soft. You'll see in the right, on the flat bottom, the right of the picture is a 9-inch grinder, and we decided that we weren't happy with the sponge finish that they got, and we took to it straight away with grinders.
Yeah.
While it was still soft.
Yeah, I've got to say, I don't remember getting on it too early with a grinder, but I think
all the everything's still in place.
Yeah, I think.
And the next shot, it shows me holding a grinder doing
right,
it.
yeah.
Did you do it off a ladder or off a curved ladder, or did?
Well, no, it's dry now.
You're good for standing on
it's
it.
good to stand on.
Ah, right.
But yeah, obviously
some have turned to drink.
Yeah, the alcohol. I'm surprised it's been so long, really, but there it is.
You won't get drunk on that American Budweiser.
But obviously, yeah, Dave was keen to get the finish.
And there's a skateboard there.
There is a skateboard there, yeah.
Well, I think the only reason that's there, it's not because we're trying to ride or anything, it's just for reference to see. Because we're skateboarders, we know how important it is that the coping is right. It doesn't stick out too much, doesn't stick out not enough. It's kind of, we're just making sure it's right.
Just rolling it with your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not been ridden yet, obviously.
So these are like first shots of it as a completed thing. Very, we've only just finished spraying it there. Awful lot of concrete left. Whatever happened to that?
There is a lot left. Oh no, that was for all the decks and the flat bottoms.
I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure it is, because I'm not sure it is.
I don't know if you sent any back, but I can't remember. Anyway, it looks like we're cleaning up the flat bottoms and stuff, and I think we're just having a general tidy and a look at it now. I think.
So are your wooden flat bottoms out now? Or
no,
still in.
They're still in, are they?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Not sure what's going on there. I think that rope. What's that rope doing?
I think.
Is that just add the sheet across it or something?
Yeah, I think.
I think we're literally. This is
The unveiling.
the unveiling of it. Look at-
Almost. It's almost a calm after the storm. This because you can see all the bags in the background. There literally almost have been a war. Putting the concrete in is so intense. And when the lads have gone, you can actually literally breathe and look at what you've done. Yeah.
Now this is when it rained. Very shortly after
What?
it being beautiful weather.
What's the fencing in for?
We put fencing all the way. It was part of the deal with the sprayers to put the fencing up.
Right.
And also if it was something to hang the
Yeah.
Right.
protective sheeting off.
Right.
Otherwise the big my house and windows and
Yeah.
everything within a 60-foot radius would have been pebble dashed.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it here. Look at it.
Yeah. Everything's covered.
But yeah,
Oh.
that's
Oh.
that's how quickly it fills up.
Yeah. Now that's. Yeah, it's a little bit scary. That. It's.
That's the drain not working.
Yeah. Yeah, because water it can get pretty heavy pretty quick.
Was it block the drain or something, or was it?
Well, there wasn't actually even a.
Ah, right. I see.
It still had the wooden flat bottom in there, didn't it? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah.
Did you pump it out? I can't
I
remember.
think we pumped it out.
Yeah. I'm sure I'd have been a bit worried at this point because it does carry a lot of weight as water and the concrete.
Yeah, there you go.
So we've got the pump going.
So you've not yet drilled a hole?
Well, no, we must have.
No, we had a
have.
pipe through,
Yeah.
but we didn't have a grid or.
Right.
This end was finished, I think. Tim,
Yeah.
But the pool end was just a hidden part that we had to dig out again.
Yeah.
We
I think that's what he's doing. My dad's doing.
Yeah, there we
piece
go.
of reverb.
I see.
I think that's my pump. Yeah, anyway.
No, there's
Whoa,
plenty-
now then.
There's Pike having a sneaky.
Is that around the water?
No, the water's gone now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is must be one of the very first.
That's the first.
Wow.
That's probably me considering having a go.
Yeah. Got your knee pads on?
Yeah.
That's a great picture.
Your Devo suit.
Yeah. Yeah, you can really see the colour now. It's starting to brighten and yeah, got rid of all the gallows are gone.
So this is after you've sanded it down with the grinders.
Yeah, that one might be out of sync with the others. That photo, possibly. So we're now looking at. We've removed the wooden formers that were in there, that acted as templates and reference points for the actual construction. We took them out. Looks like we chucked a bit of rebar in and we're getting ready to cast the flat bottoms. The experts have gone. And from now on, we're flying solo. Is it fair to say?
Yeah.
So yeah,
So here we go.
get that concrete
The
mixer.
mixer's out.
All
Yeah.
that wood there, you can see all the debris. The wood is what was the gallows that were all the way round, and you can see the remnants of the flat bottom that has been took out. The semicircles.
Yeah, here we go. Just placing the concrete. Looks like we've mixed it. Looks like a pretty thick mix that to me actually, but it's kind of easy working this now. You know, after the rest of it.
Yeah, working on flat after working on transition.
Yeah, this is quite pleasant. We can just
pleasant.
we can just grade this off flat.
Yeah.
You know, this is because pretty much we wanted to keep. I think we engineered even this point. We engineered a little bit of fall. I seem to remember this flat isn't exactly flat.
No, because we didn't want water to pool in the shower.
No, we wanted all the water
deep.
to end in the drain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just screeding this off and obviously making sure, you know, we've got a little bit of fall running. Well, this is predetermined because everything now is set. Hopefully, we've got fall. If we haven't,
Yeah, we'll will have factored that in.
Oh yeah, but this is it now. It's can't be adjusted. Looks like we're getting more of a suntan on this job.
So just to, again, just doing the same thing again in the deep end. Although you got to contend with the drain as well.
Yeah, so obviously just pulling out all the former. I don't know why, but we just commented on that. Pike always seems to have blood running down his shin. Even now, 21 years later, he's sending us photographs with blood running down his shin.
There's his accommodation. It's kind of where he was living in that caravan.
Yeah.
That caravan has been a godsend to my business. We dragged it up and down the country.
It's coming extremely handy.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time there. I had some good fun in that.
We have, urban games. And...
So looks like we've just again slightly out of sync with this one, but just putting the rebar in. Oh, little bit of advertising there.
Yeah. This might have been a photo actually that got sent to a magazine, because magazines were back then. They used to ring me up and they were like kind of interested in what I was up to. So that's possibly got something to do with that.
Yeah.
There's a prime example of that piece of tubing that I went and blatantly, unapologetically liberated. Look how many pallets there are piled up.
Yeah. Look at all the bags.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was a bit of interesting construction because I think we were fabricating things that you couldn't actually buy. So, again, you just make do.
Make do with what you can get, what's lying around.
Yeah. Oh, obviously look. Obviously, Bart's just testing the drain there. Yeah.
I love how the drain and our shirts like are colour coordinated with the DeWalt tools. If that was like an Andy Warhol photograph. Oh no, what's he called? That film guy, Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
he puts a lot of onus on that kind of thing.
Colours.
Yeah,
that's cool. So again, I'm pretty sure we've got that the top of that drain slightly lower than the surrounding area,
just so you get the plug hole effect.
Yeah, but not so much that you can feel it when you're riding it.
Got the all important stereo plugged in there in the deep end.
Pike's playing with his ears.
Good, having a good twiddle.
Yeah. Again, blood running down his shin.
I think it's a combination of broken collarbone and ear twiddling.
Yeah, I think it is.
So yeah,
that's taking the gallows out here, obviously. I think we discovered how well we'd fitted them. I think they proved quite a chore taking them out.
You know, I mean the consumables on this job, the amount of wood and plywood that was sacrificed for want of a better word.
Yeah.
I mean, I just shudder to think the cost of doing that these days.
Yeah. I wonder how did you cost it in the first place? How did you work out the exact amount of materials you needed?
Well, maybe we'll talk about that at the end. Yeah, slightly out of sync again. We've still got the wooden flat bottom in on that shot. But there you go.
Yeah, so this is how you float it off without standing in it.
So Pike's tamping there, isn't he, with the wood, and then you're getting the final.
Yeah. Again, you get it somewhere near, let it go off a bit, and give it a polish.
So we're now working on the pool surrounds. So we're just arguing, or not arguing. That's not the right word, but discussing. We're debating. There seems to be an awful lot of concrete bags left over from the spraying process. We're just trying to work out whether we use those concrete bags for this material. I'm led to believe that we borrowed it in off a wagon.
Yeah.
Telephone number 0707.
Yeah, I think my money's on we actually use the bag material for the flat bottoms to keep it the same.
Yeah. That would have been at least 4 bags.
Yeah, easy.
Well, I mean, but there was hundreds. Well, not hundreds.
Yeah, I think maybe you sent anything back that wasn't used. I think
possibly.
Yeah, I think so. I think you got a bit of money back on them. But yeah, it's definitely a barrow mix here. So
You remember that, Tim?
Yes, vaguely.
Still got that rake.
Yeah, got a bit of. But again, all down to levels again. Look, you've got the shuttering in on the outside.
Yeah.
Working to the coping. I'm sure there's some kind of screed somewhere with a little step in it.
Yeah, and also, we'll have factored in some fall away from the coping, so that the water, any rainwater, will run
away
towards that brickwork. And I remember we put, well, I know because it's still there. There's a primitive sort of gutter that runs around the perimeter edge that acts as a gutter.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's looking pretty sweet.
I do remember this bit. Yeah.
Are you jealous because I've got a pillow and you've not?
No. I'm just happy I've got my own trowel.
They look like shiny trowels, those too. Nice
Nothing
big,
like your own trowel.
Yeah, nice big floats, those.
So what we did there is we did alternative sections so that we could actually lean in and work on the section. So that would dry. You can see where the bucket is, that the section before that is already done and is drying. And we worked around like that. And when it was dry, then we went back and filled in the gaps.
Yeah, always good to have the concrete have lines like that as well, because concrete does tend to crack. And once you've got like a line like that, if it does move, it'll tend to move on the joint line, which will be a nice straight line, rather than having some kind of wobbly sort of crack.
That's Tim and Whitey again.
Yeah, just putting the sections in. Again, lovely weather.
I think we've rigged them boards over that to stop it force drying, not getting dry too quick.
Too quick, yeah.
How bright does the pool look?
Yeah, it's going very white, isn't it? All the sections are kind of going in place there.
So that's it. Everything's in, all the concrete. I'm sure it's been a couple of weeks. We're pretty good, I think.
We had to leave it.
You have to leave it to cure, and I think we were pretty. We showed some self-restraint because we were still busy. Just because the hole was dug and the pool was there. Apart from just taking a couple of exploratory rolls on it just to make sure there was nothing untoward, we then just kind of cracked on with the rest of the job, which was putting in the pool surround and also working on the decking. I seem to remember we penciled this job in. We scheduled it in around paying jobs. Look at that. That's me doing a sweep.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore.
Yeah, in the deep end.
It amazes me when I look at that photo, because I used to be able to do sweepers with my eyes closed. Not actually with my eyes closed, but and now I just haven't got the nerve to do it.
Yeah.
So that's Adam Cook.
Yeah.
From Liverpool. Little Russ on the right with the red and black baseball cap on. Guy taking photos is Kingy from Document Magazine. These are pretty much the first people to come and check it out. Living over in Liverpool, just like a less than a half-hour drive for them, really.
But they couldn't wait.
Oh.
There you go, sweeper over the hip.
Yeah.
I mean, the photo, you can't tell whether it's a make or a bail, but it looks like a make to me.
Wow, look at this.
Your muscles.
Yeah. Like
and I think that's
bit of a crew now.
That's Eddie Belvedere with the long hair, who's still skating, relocated to Cornwall. Kingy stood on the car, trying to get the perfect shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just people coming to hang.
Yeah. Diane.
It's a very, very, I said, probably first semi-public session, I would have said.
Looks like you're starting to get some decking in there too, Dave.
Yeah.
The finished decking around the outside. It's just next to the house. Oh, now then.
that's Yoyo, who's, you know, the ball is christened, pool is christened after him, just because it's kind of, it's in his domain. And he used to get up in the mornings. There was a period of time, pretty early on actually, where, as a byproduct of building the pool, we were able to afford the luxury to fill it with water and actually swim in it. Not because we want to be the Beverly Hillbillies or anything, but just because we could. It was never.
I did come and swim in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I dove into the deep end
Yeah.
of the pool.
But while there was water in there, Yoyo would stroll out in the morning and go and drink from it, and we just said, you know, biggest cat ball in the world, and that's why it's christened Yoyos.
Yeah. Just a quick one as well. Obviously, when you filled it, that proved the level. That was the ultimate level. I mean, water obviously is flat, and if you fill a pool with water, you'll find out pretty quickly if you've got it leaning one way or another, and it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
It's flat as a pancake. So, held the water.
That front side up. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
That's Andy Scott in the red t-shirt on the right.
It's well out.
I've still got that toolkit. And that saw.
Or is that the one I've got?
That's probably the one you've got.
I've got that saw.
Yeah.
It's a good saw. Wow.
Yeah.
Heavy
I'm
session.
saying nothing.
Heavy session. See all the decking in the background going in. Obviously, this is a quick skate in between getting the tools out.
Young Shay, I don't know, how old is she there? Like 6?
Maybe 5, 6.
I like that shot of Jake. He's hanging with the big boys, but he's
Yeah.
got an air of try not to think too hard about it, doesn't he? Look at his face. Yeah. So yeah, that's
Your PVC?
no, it's some decorator painting the house, but I'm working on the decking. You know, the pool is in amazing shape. It's 21 years old and it's pretty much, in fact, I'd go as far as to say it's better than when we first built it.
Well, you've reworked it a little bit, haven't you?
But unfortunately, the decking is also 21 years old, and the same can't be said for that. That's starting to feel spongy and feels like a trampoline when you walk on it. But hey ho. That's my dad.
Has he laying some blocks? What's he up to?
Yeah, he's just building that little wall thing. That's why he's cracking on with some of the joinery elements of it. I think earlier on we were talking about time frame, how from having a level, no pun intended, a level playing field and digging the hole to finishing the pool, not including the surrounds, just the pool itself. It was about a 14-day period.
Yeah, that was hard.
And then we kind of took our time putting this surrounding, because we kind of needed to let it cure and let it dry. And then we spent time with the decking.
How far on do you think we are now then, from first dig to now?
Well, look, I think we went and did a job in between. I think we went and did some.
It's broke off.
I know at some point after the bowl was dug and the concrete was on, I probably took a week off. I think I had to go away and holiday, and I came back and we got stuck into the decking and also the wooden decking as well.
So I think that the intense work of digging the hole and rebar and concrete spraying and all that was a 14-day period.
Yeah, I think that was.
And then you're probably looking at maybe another month to do everything else, but at a more leisurely pace.
Yeah, I think I bailed out really. I think I was there for that. For that all that initial, period.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was kind of my bit really. But yeah, these are new pictures to me. This is this. There's the steps going into the house.
They unfortunately deteriorated.
They're not there anymore, are they?
And in recent times, I just couldn't really afford to replace them, so I just capped it all off, which is a bit of a pain really, because you've got to walk all the way around now. It's not that much of a pain. Don't look like that now.
Nice and neat there.
That is me and Pete Turvey.
Ah.
Now, Pete Turvey was a London guy, and he was really great to me.
He was a nice lad, one. He was a good skater as well.
Good skater, but he was involved with urban games and the NAS events, and he always got us the work, providing those kind of temporary facilities for those sort of events, and showed a lot of interest in what we were doing, because he'd come up from London though.
Yeah.
Where are they now?
I think it's raining.
Yeah.
Hampton.
Yeah.
Just more hanging out.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
this is the last set of photos really, and just about the painting of it really. Just finishing touches.
Yeah, but I think it goes to show you continue, Dave. You could have, with all that effort, you could have just said, "Oh, let's just skate it," and you didn't. You carried on to the nth. I mean, looking at that, you weren't a gardener, but look, you put some grass down.
Yeah, well, we'd gone from having grass outside to having no grass, and we could have done the whole thing concrete, and I just felt like a little bit of grass would be nice.
Yeah, it's tastefully done, and the decking was tastefully done as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Whack-a-day. That's my dad with the...
Well, grinder.
Oh, it's not a whack, it's a grinder.
Yeah, I think again, you were just thinking we can get the surface finish better than it was left.
Yeah.
So you were... this was a grinding machine to take off... Just to take off the... more of a polish than anything, really. I think.
Why am I wetting it? Is it still curing at that point?
No. I think the machine, it's a wet grinder. It keeps the dust down. It just creates a paste rather than dust. Okay. So yeah, it's a wet.
Right.
Oh.
That is the paint, the hard paint. So it's an epoxy resin paint. So what you've got there is the paint pigments are in the big tubs. You've got those little tubs which are the hardeners. I think. What's in the other tubs? I'm not quite sure.
Milk.
But that was very expensive paint.
Like it's a 2-pack thing, isn't it? Like you said. But...
Yeah, and you'd mix that stuff together, and you had only 10 minutes or so to put it on, and it started going off.
Yeah.
And I think I was perhaps misadvised with that paint. It was very, very expensive. I seem to recall like $3.5 grand worth of paint.
Wow.
But I don't think the finish. It was so impervious. When it got slightly damp, it got real slippery. Really, really slippery.
Yeah. Humidity was a problem.
And also, they told me that paint would cover a multitude of sins. And we weren't that happy with the finish that we got with the concrete guys, so we'd hand polished it with grinders, and we probably spent a week doing it. And in hindsight, I wish we'd spent 2 weeks doing it
before the finish went on.
Yeah,
it's prep. It's key to a lot of things, isn't it? It's prep,
and that's why I feel now, 20 years down the line, it's actually it's more skateable and in better condition than it ever was, because we went back in 2020, I think, and we grinded it back yet more, and then used a different paint. We used a high grade masonry paint and put a lot on, lots and lots of thin layers, and it's been fantastic.
Here's it going on. The colour's coming now.
So that's me, Pike in the red shirt, and that's Topsy Stag, lead singer of the Stags, helping out. I mean, the people who pitched in and helped was like, just because they wanted to be involved, was
quite a list.
Pretty tremendous.
Now then, California.
Yeah. No expense spared on this job.
I think it goes to show, though. I mean, joking aside, you know, you look at that picture, Dave. You wanted the full hit. You know,
Yeah.
you wanted the full. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is California. This is the backyard pool.
That's
Yeah.
that's her mother-in-law Diane, who's no longer with us. Painting in the.
Yeah, she's just.
I love the fact she's got one of them white paper suits on, but she's wearing a waspy belt.
Yeah. It looks like
as a fashion accessory.
Yeah, I think she's cutting in. I think
Yeah.
It looks like it,
she's
yeah.
cutting in at the coping while the others obviously, you know, putting it on heavy with the rollers.
That's Joe and Louise. That's
A sealant.
it's like a concrete sealant. Yeah, before the paint went on.
Yeah.
That is what was in that photo that we were looking at before
Yeah.
of the paint materials.
Yeah, one was
a
sealer.
concrete sealer.
Yeah. Cuts the dust down and it allows it to stick. Now then, this is super cool.
So that's Topsy.
Yeah.
It wasn't hand painted. We came up with this potato print style mosaic effect, and that's what that is. Very, very effective. I mean, at a glance, you'd think it was tiles.
Yeah. I think the novelty in that is fantastic as well because it is done so well. I just think it's a tip of the cap to a blue tile.
That's
wow.
Beautiful.
That's
it, finished.
Super cool.
We'd had some rain there. This was the afternoon of the opening party, and there's a bunch of like British UK skaters, I should say, all waiting for it to dry out so they can skate.
Oh yeah, what a great shot.
So yeah, that's it really. So, you know, in summary, when you look back at these photos, I don't know whether as you do it or as you kind of put to one side how much graft went into it and just kind of forget about that. But, you know, the physical aspect of it was for me I don't know, I just sort of took it in my stride. I don't think I could muster it up and do it again. It would I just don't. I don't know whether that's an age thing or whatever, but I think a lot of us that did it, we were just at a place in our lives where we sort of needed to do this to prove we could do it.
Without a doubt, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I think the standard of it as well. I think over the years, the compliments it's had from some of the great skaters is well, it's just amazing. Because you know it's pretty much flawless.
Yeah, well, you know, the difference between that photo and the photo we started with, it's not just a commitment. It's like, for me, it was like, you know, a big commitment to skateboarding. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's like, I'm going to build this, and this is going to almost define what I'm going to do and what you know, and it. You know, it's been, you know, we've used it a lot, but there's been periods of it's been unused, and the backyard fell into disrepair for various reasons that I won't really go into. But I just feel this last 2 to 3 years, I know we've had COVID and what have you, but, you know, it's more relevant than ever and getting more use than ever, and is a focal point for a community and people's lives. I mean, that sounds again, but it's like just having
almost a generational thing.
Well, yeah, it is a generational thing. Although the kids these days just seem to take it in the stride.
Just looking at this final picture, to me it's a culmination of 10 years of building skate parks out of wood and concrete, and this was it. This was the pinnacle for me. You know, when we started, I just had the feeling that I was confident in everybody in that team that we could do it. I didn't have any problem, but thinking that we weren't going to be able to do it. It was just we were that involved in it. Like you said, we didn't stop and think, oh, this is, it's really hard physical work or mental work or whatever. We were that absorbed in the whole process and the different, the different levels of going through it from the very start, from the first laying the ground flat, from the dig and that. And it was just, to me, it all just came together.
It was, and it was all new ground to us.
There was that sense of excitement.
There was, but we also had a quiet confidence that we knew. Like I said, some of those pitches in the middle where the rebar is going in and you're getting the spider web effect.
Yeah.
And you just know.
Yeah.
You just
really
know,
felt
looking at
it.
it, that
Really felt it.
Yeah.
this is going to work.
Yeah, but I think, Tim kind of summed it up as well. I think it was a good crew. I don't remember one argument. I don't remember one point where somebody said, no, this is the way to do it. No, this. I don't remember that. I remember everyone sort of accepting everyone else's experience and just going with it.
Yeah.
And
do you mean like with Joe, the dig guy?
With
the civil, he's got a civil engineering background.
Yeah,
so he ain't got a skateboarding background.
No, but so he understood what we were aiming for, but he was saying, well, this is the way to do it. And then Dave, obviously, the shape, transitions, what you see there is literally was probably drawn on a piece of paper. Dave knew the transitions, he knew, and it just had to. What do they say about things like this? It's in there. You just have to find it. That pool was always in the back garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just hidden.
Yeah. What is funny is that initially, I tried my damnedest to get it built at your house.
Well, that was funny.
To the point that John had a overhead aerial shot of his house on a plot of land, and I cut out a paper and drew a pool and then. Blue tacked it or picture sticked it onto the photo. That's where it's going.
Yeah.
But he wasn't having none of it.
No, it was. I think it. No, it's obviously ended up in the right place for sure. But yeah. But I think it's obviously the fact that it still stands now and it's even better than it was.
Yeah.
But
it's testament to how it was constructed.
Anyone walking into that setting is just blown away completely the first time.
Yeah. Every time.
It's incredible.
Well, I'm a strong believer, there's a lot of people, the grass is always green and they're always chasing stuff that involves travelling away or doing whatever. I'm a firm believer in working with what you've got. And that's what we did here. We work with the people that we've got and we work with the area that we've got and we work within a budget that we had because, it wasn't a bottomless pocket to build, and I can't thank you guys enough for having enough faith, and because I can't remember giving you any money for doing this. I just remember feeding you and saying, hopefully we will get some work out of this.
Yeah, and we did get work.
And we did get work. We did do some concrete jobs.
We weren't in it for a pay packet.
No,
we were in it because it was just. The thing, it was just a mega thing to do.
Yeah, but it's
as a skateboarder,
it stood the
and
test.
As someone who works with it's worked in transitions.
Stood the test of time. It's still here. And we did get some jobs out of it. But what I also found out was that, actually, I don't want to work in concrete. I don't because the parameters changed. The business parameters changed. It went from being. We'd build a skate park and the phone would ring and someone would say, can you build me a skate park? And I'd say, well, I'm already building one, but you can come down and have a look and we'll talk. And they'd come down and have a look and then they'd go, so when can you start mine? And we probably went 10 years, job to job to job,
10 years,
making wooden skate parks. And I never went looking for work. And then once you started working in concrete, the rules went out the window. It was completely different. You had to do a tender process. I won't go into too many details, but you had to prove you were able to bankroll such a job. And my experience didn't seem to count for anything.
No.
It didn't mean nothing.
And the companies that ultimately got the job subbed it out to other companies to do the work.
Yeah.
So, I don't regret for a minute building this because the councils were asking me, they'd be saying, we had a reputation for being one of the best skate park construction companies in the country, and they were now starting to lean towards wanting to work in concrete. They'd ask me if I could work in concrete. I'd say, yeah. And they go, can you show me something that you've done? And I couldn't, which is why I ended up building this. But equally, I could have just built like a little crappy quarter pipe somewhere, and that would have probably secured the job, you know?
Just to finish.
Well, I'd just like to thank, I'd like to thank my family for the support, and all the friends that that believe we could do it and were willing to get involved. I know I'm a pretty I can intoxicate people, with my enthusiasm, and then 6 months down the line, people think, well, what the hell am I doing? But generally speaking, it works out all for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you're very easy to follow sometimes, Dave. I think, and
in a Pied Piper sort of way.
Very much, yes. Like you said, you just get dragged along, and
it was a great learning experience.
it was a great ride.
Fantastic.
It was a great ride, and again,
but it continues to be.
yes.
I know I don't see as much of as Tim as I see of you, John. But Tim was over this summer and had a little skate, and it must be like, I live with it every day, and I still have to like pinch myself
When you walk
in the summer. I open the back door and there it is, and it's like,
yeah, first thing you see.
yeah,
Fantastic.
Cool. Well done.
Excellent.
Cool.